it's really shitty. You're like, this is not fun. People don't do this for fun unless you're kind of sociopathic. Now it's time to disembody. You guys ready? All right, we have some numbers down here. I want you to pay attention to the numbers. First, we're gonna warm up lots of knee cars, 3x10 knee cars. Take them nice and slow. You can weight them if you want. You actually really wanna open up knees and hips. 3x5 hip cars, same thing. Like, I don't care if you do the whole thing, but you should like have a very fiery kind of, adductor and IT band. Should be kind of lit up by the time you get done with these two. Whatever that means to you, that makes sense. 3 rounds, you'll do 10 calories on a bike just to put some blood in the bike or in the legs, and then you will go to a couch stretch for 30 seconds each side. Everybody know what a couch stretch is? So a couch stretch, you'll set it up probably on the bench. It doesn't have to be against the wall, but essentially you get a pad on your down leg, put that leg back until you tuck your hand, and then you lean back until you get into your hip flexor. So go through that 3 times, and then 3x10 hip flexor catches. Set up the bands. I don't know if you remember these. You'll grab the side of the pole, you'll kick the band down, and you'll try to catch your leg up very high. 3x10 is aggressive. It's a lot of catches, but I like this first set of box jumps to feel terrible, so we're gonna do it anyway. Work. Now, this is broken up like it's a bunch of intervals, but it's not. It's one big piece. It's 28 minutes of straight work. However, I want you to treat it like an interval, as in you're pacing it a very specific way, yeah? People tend to get like intervals in here, and then they like fuck off for 2 minutes, and then they're like 2 minutes left to go, and they go, I go so hard, and then they fall over. I want this whole thing to be paced, and that's why the numbers are important. So, it's a 20 cal bike erg. If you end up using the air bike, go down to 15 calories if you're a guy, 12 if you're a female. Makes sense? That means this first part should take no longer than 60 seconds, and then you'll do either a 400-meter run or a 500-meter row or ski, which is about 2 minutes, give or take. So that's 3 minutes of every 4 minutes of every round that you're basically cashing in. Then you will box jump, and you will go up in height on the box jump, 1 to 2 inches each jump. So you'll pick a box, start at 20 inches. When you get done with the 20 calories in the 400-meter run, you'll jump as many times as possible, step down, don't jump off, of a 20-inch box jump. The 4 minutes will end, you'll immediately get onto the bike, and you'll start back at 20 calories, 400-meter run. When you get back, you'll add a plate to the box, and then you'll do a max box jump for that. So I went from 20 to 30 inch, and I used plates in between. So I used a 20-inch box, put a plate, flipped it over to the 24, did the 24, then did a plate, and then flipped it to 30. Yep. So that'll give you your 7 rounds. So what you want to see, and this is kind of the trick with like sessions like this, and it's like, we joke about it because it's like, it's really shitty. You're like, this is not fun. People don't do this for fun unless you're kind of sociopathic. But why we do it is because it really does frame how you perceive your own effort. The box jumps are getting harder. You're getting more fatigued. You're producing less power. All of the signals from your internal system are alarm bells because you're not getting any rest. All the external feedback is that you're getting worse. It's like the worst scenario you could ever have. I'm putting forth more effort and I'm getting less out of it. That's where most people quit. So I want you to identify at what round you want to quit, because it'll be this like, and it'll be kind of like a, oh no, I'm not going to get back to the box and get the number that makes me feel like a super special athlete. And then that will make you, the feedback loop is like, I slow down then because I'm like giving into the, I'm not a good boy, I get the gold star for doing all the reps. But that's irrelevant. What is relevant is that even though you start, everybody here is getting worse and worse, you're still going harder. I'll explain this. I'll give you like a trick at the end of it. If that was true, the last round for me and Sam wouldn't have been the best. Now, rep-wise, it's not as high as here, but he picked it up in the last round, which means there's something left in the tank. This comes back to a professor that was out of South Africa. His name's Timothy Noakes. He discovered something really unique called the central governor unit, which before all of everything that we've studied for 100 years in physiology said that as you got more fatigued, performance went down, right? And we're like, lactic acid, it's like a buildup, I'm dehydrated, whatever you want to call it, performance goes down. Well, he thought, man, I've seen examples of where that's not true, because he was a coach for marathoners. And he used to coach this really famous foot race in South Africa. It's a 60-mile foot race. People die because it's terribly hot and it's really difficult to do it. And he was always trying to figure out how to trick people into doing it. High performance, high level runners, how to do it faster. And so he started this experiment where he would put runners in a room with a thermostat, and he would fake the thermostat temperature. And if he faked the thermostat temperature up, people would see it and their performance would go down. The room temperature never changes. It's always the same. But he just tricks the mind into thinking that it's hotter, and performance did that. He did another experiment, which is really interesting, on VO2 max, and instead of doing a ramp into VO2 max for fatigue, he tested VO2 max the opposite way and started fast, and he saw faster numbers, because it's the rate of perceived exertion influences what we think of our performance. How that translates to what you do, if you think that it's hard, your performance drops. If it feels good, it goes up. I'll give you a personal example. I was racing bikes, but I went down to do a triathlon down at Lake Powell. This is like a long time ago. Obviously, I'm not a triathlete anymore. But I drove from Vancouver to Lake Powell straight. I drove to Salt Lake, got out at Salt Lake after 17 hours, jumped in another car and went another 5 to Lake Powell. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I woke up the next day. There's no restaurants because it's a Sunday down there. I woke up and I was like, shit, I don't have any food. I'm going to do terrible. And so I went to a gas station. I got a Rockstar Cola. They don't make those anymore. They're awesome. And I got a bag of gummy bears. And that's what I ate for my race. And then I was standing there and everybody was like bitching, like, oh my God, it's raining. And I'm like, you're wearing a wetsuit. It's like the dumbest thing. People just complain about everything. So I get out of the water 50th. That's like losing. I'm losing. I get on my bike, that's what I'm good at, so I'm like, I'm gonna make up for it. But I'm looking at my bike and I have a power, everybody knows what a power meter is? Like an ergometer, so it's telling me how much wattage I'm putting out. So I'm going and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this can't be right. Like, I'm dying, I'm frothing at the mouth, I'm like gonna puke, and it says I'm only putting out 200 watts. And I'm like, this is so stupid. This is dumb, it's because my nutrition, it's because I drove, and my brain starts going like super weird. But I'm like, you know, whatever, I'll finish the race because I'm not a quitter. So I get to the transition for the run, I get off the run, and it's weird because I see my friend Zach, and we're like the same speed. He's a way faster swimmer. I was a better cyclist. I get off, I see him, I'm like, oh cool, I'll just like race with Zach, and we get out, and I know we're like super competitive with each other, and I know he can always beat me in a sprint. So I take off, and I'm like, I'm gonna beat him. And I'm like running, and I get to the halfway point, and I turn around, and I think about it, and I go, I haven't seen anybody else. I didn't pass anybody. I was just like, am I that far behind? And I see him on the turnaround, because you know, we're running, I take off, I turn around and I see him and he goes, you're in first place. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, when did that happen? I went from 50th to first, feeling sorry for myself because my effort was such shit, and the computer was telling me that I was weak, right? Completely just like, Eeyore. And then I see that I'm winning, and I can see, I have this recorded on my Garmin, and you see me go from a 6-minute mile to a 5:20 mile for the last 2 miles of the race. What? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That's 40-second faster splits than I've ever run in training, because I knew I was winning. And now I have the positive feedback of my effort, so effort goes up. So the training for it, funny enough, isn't just to trick yourself and go faster. It's actually to understand that the sensation that you're giving as you're failing is completely inaccurate. You don't trust it. You just keep going. Like, yeah, the box jumps are getting worse. Of course they are. The box is getting higher, and you're going harder and harder and harder, but you're still starting to fall apart. This is a useful like fitness construct. Like you can increase, I would say, VO2 max incredibly high with something like this, because you see a constant threshold effort in a 28-minute span with like high heart rate from an explosive movement. And that really, like, you'll feel it. It's just like, oh, I feel like there's no oxygen in the room, and it suffocates you. And then instead of resting, you get back right into this lower gear, and then you spike in lower gear and spike in lower gear. So it never feels good. It just doesn't. That's just the nature of it. But it gives you the opportunity to try and eke out as many or like the best performance you can. So as soon as I saw 18 and then 16, I made a new goal in my head. I have to get at least 14. I can only lose by 2 reps. Now, this performance was somewhat waning, right? Because I think the first round I got done in like 56 seconds for the bike. I got back in exactly 2 minutes, and then I was losing 2 seconds on each implement, but I was making up for it and still only losing by 2 reps. So I was making up for it somewhere. My performance was actually going up even if the reps don't show that. You'll know what I mean when you feel it. Because some people that actually blow up really blow up, and then they don't really get it. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions about this framework? All good? Who's excited? Nobody.